We have seen the topic congestion control algorithms. What is congestion and what are the different congestion prevention policies at each layer? Now in this session we are going to see the QoS, that is quality of service, that determine the network layer QoS. So let us first understand what is QoS. So when a stream of packets from a source to destination is transmitted, this stream is called as the flow. The needs of each flow can be characterized by four primary parameters. First one is reliability, second is delay, third one is jitter, and the bandwidth. These four parameters collectively determine the quality of service. So together this determines QoS which the flow requires. So based on these parameters, any network considerations or any network parameters are determined on basis of that QoS. So consider the table in which there are some applications indicated, and for each application, four parameters which determine its QoS is indicated. Here as you can see, the applications are something like email, file transfer, web access, remote login, audio on demand, video on demand, telephony or video conferencing is indicated. In all of these applications, the four parameters requirements are there, indicating reliability for email, delay for some other application, jitter for some other application, bandwidth likewise. So as you can see, in email the reliability is high, delay is low, and jitter and bandwidth are also low. That means bandwidth requirement for email is low. Same way for any file transfer using the network platform, the reliability should be high, the delay should be low, the jitter is low and bandwidth is medium. Same way for web access, that means for accessing the web, the reliability is high, it should be high, the delay should be medium, the jitter should be low and the bandwidth should be medium. For remote login, the reliability is high, delay is medium, jitter is medium and bandwidth is low. For audio on demand or video on demand, reliability, delay, jitter are low, low and high respectively, but the bandwidth requirement for audio on demand is medium as compared to video on demand. For video on demand applications, you already know that bandwidth requirement is high as compared to audio on demand. Next is telephony, that means telephonic communication application. In that, reliability is low, delay is high, jitter is high and bandwidth is low. And for video conferencing, that is very obvious to know that the bandwidth requirement is very high, jitter may be also high, delay also is high, but reliability is low. But as now the network performance are increasing day by day, the quality of service for each network which it provides is improving for each of these applications indicated over here. That means all of these parameters are improving, which will lead to improvement of the quality of service. So these parameters determine the quality of service for any network based on which the applications are utilized. Now, next is the techniques for achieving good quality of service. That means if we want to improve these four parameters which will lead to good quality of service, what are the techniques for that? So here the first technique is over provisioning, the second technique is buffering, the third one is traffic shaping. Fourth one is the leaky bucket algorithm. Fifth one is the token bucket algorithm. Then resource reservation and admission control techniques are there, which will lead to good quality of service. In this, the leaky bucket algorithm and token bucket algorithm are very important algorithms for congestion control as well as for good quality of service. Let us see the first one, over provisioning. As the name suggests, this will provide the more than requirement parameters or more than required capacity for the network that can handle. That means here the congestion situation may not even happen. That means, let's say for example, a packet arrives in the network has the more capacity. If we consider that 500 packets simultaneously network can handle, but there are chances of only 5 packets or 10 packets, there is no chance of congestion in this situation. That is called as the over provisioning. So in over provisioning, an easy solution is provide so much router capacity, buffer space and bandwidth that the packets can just fly through it easily. The trouble with this solution is that it is expensive. As time goes on and designers have a better idea of how much is enough, this technique may even become practical. To some extent, the telephone system is over provisioned. It is rare to pick up a telephone and not get a dial tone instantly. These chances are very rare. So there is simply so much capacity available there that demand can always be satisfied. This is the first over provisioning case. Then the second one is buffering. So flows can be buffered on the receiving side before it is being delivered. Buffering them does not affect the reliability or bandwidth, and it increases the delay, but it smooths out the jitter. For audio and video on demand, jitter is the main problem, so this technique helps a lot. Then the next is traffic shaping. So the traffic shaping is used to smooth out the traffic on the server side rather than on the client side. So traffic shaping is about regulating the average rate of data transmission, and using this the packets can be shaped according to the router capacity, and which will lead to the better quality of service. Next is the leaky bucket algorithm and the token bucket algorithm. Let's see them in detail as they are very important between all of these algorithms. So here let us understand the leaky bucket algorithm. This graph is indicated over here. In the figure A, the leaky bucket algorithm analogy is indicated, and in figure B, the real-time network solution based on the leaky bucket algorithm is indicated. Now, in figure A, as you can see, there is a tap from which water is being poured into a bucket. Assume that there is a hole at the bottom of the bucket, which will lead to the outflowing or water dripping outside of this hole, which will at the constant rate. Same analogy is applied to the network, in which there is a host computer which is sending the packets in unregulated flow to a network which cannot handle all of these packets simultaneously. So this is assumed to has the interface which contains a leaky bucket. Here the bucket holds the packets. That means all of the packets which arrives over here are stored here, and the outflow is regulated according to the hole size. That means at the outflow is determined well. According to that, the outflow of packets are regulated for the network. Here the leaky bucket idea is applied to packets as shown in the figure B. Conceptually, each host is connected to the network by an interface containing a leaky bucket. As indicated in figure A, the leaky bucket, the same concept is applied to the packets as shown in the figure B. Conceptually, each host is connected to the network by an interface containing a leaky bucket, that is a finite internal queue. If packets arrives at the queue, when it is full, the packets is discarded. In other words, if one or more processes within the host try to send a packet when the maximum number is already queued, the new packet is discarded. This arrangement can be built into the hardware interface or simulated by the host operating system. It was first proposed by Turner and is called the leaky bucket algorithm. In fact, it is nothing other than a single server queuing system with constant service time. The host is allowed to put one packet per clock tick onto the network. Again, this can be enforced by the interface card or by the operating system. This mechanism turns an uneven flow of packets from the user process inside the host into an even flow of packets onto the network, smoothing out bursts and greatly reducing the chances of congestion. Now, the next algorithm is the token bucket algorithm. That is somewhat different to that of the leaky bucket algorithm. As you can see over here, there are another two figures. Figure A, which indicates the leaky bucket algorithm in terms of the bucket that holds the tokens, and in figure B, the implied network logic to the existing network. So the token bucket algorithm provides a different kind of traffic shaping than that of leaky bucket algorithm. The leaky bucket algorithm does not allow idle hosts to save up permission to send large bursts later. The token bucket algorithm does allow saving up to maximum size of the bucket. This property means that the burst of up to n packets can be sent at once, allowing some burstiness in output stream and giving faster response to sudden burst of the input. Another difference between these two algorithms is that the token bucket algorithm throws away tokens, that is transmission capacity, when the bucket fills up but never discard packets. In contrast, the leaky bucket algorithm discards packets when the bucket fills up. That means, as you can see, that if the bucket is full of water, the water inflow for that will outflow from upper side. That means this will discard the packets in terms of networks. The leaky bucket and token bucket algorithm can also be used to smoothen traffic between routers as well as to regulate host output, as in our examples. However, one clear difference is that a token bucket algorithm is regulating a host, can make the host stop sending when the rules say it must, telling a router to stop sending while its input keeps pouring in may result in loss of data. The implementation of the basic token bucket algorithm is just a variable that counts the tokens. The counter is incremented by every time period t and decremented by 1 whenever a packet is sent. When the counter is 0, no packets may be sent. Leaky bucket algorithm and token bucket algorithm and the difference between these two. The next is resource reservation. Once we have a specific route for a flow, it becomes possible to reserve resources along that route to make sure the needed capacity is available. Three different kind of resources can potentially be reserved. First one is bandwidth, second one is buffer space, and the third one is CPU cycles. This includes the resource reservation. After that, the next is admission control. Here the decision is to accept or reject a flow, which is not simpler matter of comparing them. That means comparing the bandwidth, buffers or cycles, which is requested by the flow with the router's excess capacity in those three dimensions. It is a little more complicated than that. To start with, although some applications may know about their bandwidth requirements, few know about their CPU buffers or CPU cycles. So at the minimum, a different way is needed to describe flows. Next, some applications are far more tolerant of an occasional missed deadlines than others. Finally, some applications may be willing to haggle about the flow parameters and others may not. So, here a set of such parameters, which is called as flow specification, is needed for these algorithms. Here after that there is a proportional routing. So most routing algorithms try to find the best path for each destination and send all traffic to that destination over the best path. A different approach that has been proposed to provide a higher quality of service is to split the traffic for each destination over multiple paths. This is called as the proportional routing. Next is packet scheduling. If a router is handling multiple flows, there is a danger that one flow will hog too much of its capacity and strive for other flows. Processing packets in order of their arrival means that an aggressive sender can capture most of the capacity of the routers its packets traverse, reducing the quality of service from others. So, for that, the various packaging scheduling algorithms has been devised. One of the first one was fair queuing algorithm. The essence of this algorithm is that routers have separate queues for each output line, one for each flow. When a line becomes idle, the router scans the queues round robin algorithm fashion wise, taking the first packet on the next queue. In this way, with n hosts competing for a given output line, each host gets to send one out of every n packets. Sending more packets will not improve this faction. So, in packet scheduling, the number of packets are scheduled according to time for every outgoing line. So, these are the main techniques for achieving good quality of service, among which the leaky bucket and token bucket algorithm are most important. These are the references. Thank you. Thank you for listening.